All right, so we've got this stack of articles about airports, and it seems like we're on a mission here to uncover the hidden side of these travel hubs, like from those quirky and unexpected stories you always hear to how tech is, totally changing the game.
Yeah, it is interesting how we tend to think of airports as these like temporary stops, just places we have to endure, not really experience, right? But these sources you've got, they paint a different picture, don't they?
They really do. Like that story about the person just casually strolling through the terminal in a full T-Rex costume. I mean, hilarious, right? But it also makes you wonder about what's going on, like the social dynamics of airports. You know what I mean?
It's like all the, what are they called? The usual rules of how you're supposed to act, they just kind of disappear. Mm-hmm. Airports become this weird transient, is that the right word?
Yeah, totally.
Transient space where people are like more willing to embrace the unusual. I don't know if that's outlandish outfits or just like these weird encounters you have.
It's like that anecdote we have about the Boeing engineer, right? Patiently listening to everyone freak out about a plane crash. Talk about irony, huh?
Oh, for sure. That's a good one. It really shows you the different layers of human experience you see in airports. I mean, we're so focused on just getting through security, making our flight, that we miss the humor, right? The shared anxiety, those little connections that just sort of happen around us all the time.
I like it. It humanizes the whole experience, like that story about the lost stuffed dog making its way through the airport. You can't help but root for it to find its owner.
Exactly. Yeah. These little stories, they remind us that everyone's got a story. Even if you're just surrounded by baggage carousels and delayed flights,
Speaking of chaos, though, remember that crazy incident at Munich airport? One passenger makes a mistake and bam, it snowballs into this massive disruption, costs them like €1 million.
Totally. Really highlights how fragile these big systems are.
Yeah.
But also how, human error, which we try so hard to get rid of in the name of efficiency, is still a huge factor.
Which makes you wonder, could all this AI we're seeing in airport management be the answer?
It could be, yeah. Some of these articles, like that one, AI in airport management, it really seems like these new technologies could totally streamline things and maybe even, head off some of those vulnerabilities before they become a problem.
So less about a T-Rex causing a scene and more about AI kind of working behind the scenes, huh? Keeping everything running smoothly.
Exactly. Think about it. What if we could predict flight delays way more accurately? Instead of everyone freaking out at the departure board, you just get a notification right on your phone. Real-time updates, no more stress.
Okay, I have to admit that does sound pretty amazing. No more last-minute gate changes, no more hunting for an outlet. But, and I'm sure you saw this coming, what about our privacy? These systems would be tracking us, right? Our movements, our behaviors, all of it.
Oh, absolutely. That's a huge concern. And it's something a lot of these articles bring up, those ones about privacy versus security. AI can make things more efficient, even personalize our experience, but it needs data to do that. And that data is us.
It's tricky, right? On one hand, smoother journeys, less hassle. On the other hand, are we giving up some of our privacy for that convenience?
It's a tough balance. And it raises some important questions about transparency. How are airports, how are airlines using this data?
Yeah.
Do the benefits of all this AI actually outweigh the risks?
We got to be asking these questions. I mean, it's our responsibility as travelers to stay informed, to be part of these conversations.
100%. It's not about rejecting technology. It's about making sure it's developed responsibly, ethically, with clear guidelines,
Well said. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. You included some stuff about ETIAS and the UK EDA, upcoming changes to travel regulations, right? Yeah, honestly, I'm still a little fuzzy on the details.
Yeah, these are big changes coming soon, and they're going to affect a lot of travelers. Basically, ETIAS and the UK ET, their travel authorizations. Some visitors will need these before they can enter certain European countries.
Got it. So before I book my flight for those croissants in Paris or, those tea and crumpets in London, I've got to make sure I've got the right documents. But are these authorizations the same as visas?
That's where a lot of people get tripped up. And that article you had, Obtaining an E-Visa, it actually explains the difference really well. So, yeah, both authorizations and visas give you permission to enter a country. But their purpose, how you apply, those are different.
Okay, break it down for me. What are the key differences?
Okay, so visas. Usually you need those for longer stays if you're going to work or study. And the application process is, well, it's a lot more intense. Often you have to go in person, get documents, the whole 9 yards. ETS, And the UK ET, these are specifically for shorter trips, tourists, maybe some business travelers, and only if you're coming from a visa-exempt country. The idea is to improve security, screen travelers beforehand. And the best part, you can do it all online.
So an extra step, but not as complicated as getting a visa.
Exactly. ETIAS and the UK ET, the applications are supposed to be pretty straightforward. Online form, passport info, travel details, some security questions. That's about it.
Sounds manageable, though I'm sure there's still potential for some of that. Is this thing ever going to load? Frustration, like any online form.
Oh, I hear you. We've all been there. But really, the main takeaway is to be prepared. These changes are happening. And if you know what to expect now, it'll save you a lot of headaches later on.
Okay, so to be clear, these authorizations, they're for the Schengen Area, which is, remind me again.
Right, it's a good point. Not all of Europe's on the same page for travel. The Schengen Area, it's like 27 European countries that basically act like one big zone for international travel.
Yeah.
So you can travel between them, no border checks. It's like a free travel bubble within Europe.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So Paris for croissants, ETIAS London for tea and crumpets, UK EP check.
You got it. And another thing, these authorizations, they're good for multiple entries for a certain time period. I mean, so you don't need to apply every time you travel, just once within that time frame. But double check those expiry dates. And
any specific rules for your nationality?
Yep.
This has been so helpful. Honestly, it's like having a personal travel agent who's also like an expert on all these international travel rules.
Happy to help. And speaking of the future of travel, remember those quirky airport stories we were talking about? Makes you wonder, with all this AI coming into airports, will we lose those unpredictable human moments that make airports so interesting?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Will airports become these like sterile, super efficient places? Don't get me wrong, I love the idea of shorter lines and all that, but part of me kind of enjoys those only in an airport moments.
Exactly. The absurdity, the connections, those little surprises. As much as we want things to be seamless, we got to remember airports are more than just transit hubs. They're stages, right? Where these human stories unfold often when you least expect it. Maybe that's something to think about as we head into this future of air travel.
It is. And who knows what that future holds? Maybe those only in an airport moments will just change with the times, Create a whole new set of travel stories. Thanks for joining me for this deep dive. We covered everything from T-Rex costumes to AI ethics to the future of travel airports. They're definitely anything but boring.